Hi there, Dr. Nikhil Verma here with another edition of I Wish I Learned That in Med School. Um, Hope you guys found benefit of my last video where I kind of talked about some things about um, credentialing and how to get a network and credentialing specialists and that kind of stuff. I wanted to continue today's conversation with some more aspects of medical billing and coding. Unlike last video, I did write some notes, so I'll be looking down, kind of explaining through, kind of keep my thought process more linear this time, so I'm not jumping around as much. Right now, it's towards the end of December. We are about to celebrate the holidays. You might notice from my awesome getup here, my holiday festive pullover that I like to wear. Either way, I hope everyone had a good holiday season. The air date of this might be a few weeks afterwards, but either way, that's where my heart is right now. So why don't we dive right in? One big thing is there might be overlap between these videos. I think it's important that we have overlap. I always found it most beneficial to kind of review some things from the previous lectures and let it transition right into the next lecture. I felt like in med school, my anatomy professor did a very good job of this, where we would be discussing a certain portion of the body, and then he would go over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 points from the previous lecture and allow that to lead into the next one. The other thing is billing and coding and the revenue cycle management of the medical system is very complex. And I think it just warrants multiple conversations for things like that. Okay, so I really want to kind of walk through what a revenue cycle management is and what it means. Essentially, it's the billing cycle that involves how a physician or practice or hospital gets paid for services rendered. We obviously know insurance is important. Everyone has insurance, or most people have insurance, I should say. And whenever you schedule an appointment with the provider, one of the first things they ask for is, what is your insurance? And that's because we look for what's in network and out of network. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but usually the first thing practice, hospital, etc. gets is this information, getting insurance. After we get the insurance and services are rendered, we submit to the insurance company, we, meaning the provider, the hospital center, etc., submit to the insurance company and file a claim. And now outside of that, the claim will either get paid or denied. But anything during the follow-up process or appealing these follow-ups and appealing the claim, that's all kind of considered under the umbrella term, the revenue cycle management. So that's quick and dirty, 20,000 foot overview of what happens. Now getting a little bit more into the specifics of things, we can walk through an example of a new patient that comes into the office for low back pain. The CDC and other organizations had determined that we need to have better tracking of data of what different diagnoses are. So they made up this internet ICD classification. You might hear this ICD-10 code. So I didn't know what it meant, so I had to go look it up. It's the International Classification of Disease, the 10th revision, and it's for clinical management. So that's what that ICD-10 stands for. ICD-11 probably come out sometime shortly, and they're going to continue to add on to these. Essentially, it's a large volumed book or codes in a book that will determine what the diagnoses are and potentially outcomes of the diagnoses or different symptoms of the diagnosis, and it's all really for data tracking. I don't see another reason for it besides data tracking. I think there's benefits to it because we can really quickly go and grab diagnoses very easily, or we can also, by doing a quick search, or we can see where healthcare costs are being spent the most at because of these ICD-10 codes. There are plenty of problems with it. They don't have all the codes. Not everyone's diagnosis can be easily put into just one envelope and sent away. Sometimes you get very complex cases, and sometimes we don't really know what the diagnosis is or what's causing some sort of disease or syndrome, et cetera, et cetera. And there are some workarounds about that, but we'll kind of leave that for another day. So the ICD-10 code, for example, of low back pain would be M54.0. So I will do my assessment of the patient for this low back pain and take a look at everything. And at the end of it all, there is a American Medical Association CPT code that is correlated with what I choose to do. The CPT codes are current procedural terminology. That is a list of everything that a physician would, or physician or provider or hospital, even physical therapists or chiropractors would want to do for their patient. So that can be as simple as a new patient visit would be something, an example of a 99202 as a very brief initial patient visit. Now there's other things, plenty of other codes, from just joint injections or epidural steroid injections, surgeries, even prescribing certain types of medications, counseling, psychotherapy, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of codes. So every code is specified for their distinguished reason. So this is where we'll start getting in talking about the billing and coding aspect. And that is where we are essentially getting the insurance, linking an ICD-10 code, ICD-10 diagnosis to a CPT code, compiling that data, and sending to the insurance company. Now, the insurance company will take a look at that claim that you filed and will either accept it or deny it. When they accept it, it's based on those contracted terms that I discussed in the last video. As a provider, you need to contract with insurance companies, and these are predetermined contracts, so they know what they're going to pay you for certain services rendered. And they'll come around and pay you anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, maybe longer, to come out with the payment for that accepted claim. And that is when you are in network with a certain insurance provider. There are other times where you're not in network, and in cases like those, you actually, as a provider, have the right to make a fee schedule. And the fee schedule is how much you would charge for certain services for either a cash pay or out-of-network concept. So when we start talking about out-of-network, a lot of people have this misconception that out-of-network, I can't afford it. Yes, it can be more expensive, but it doesn't always have to be. The insurance company will sometimes have a X amount of dollars to pay for out-of-network. Sometimes you'll see on your insurance card, they'll pay up to 50% of your out-of-network costs. That might be, good enough. And that might be all the provider really wants to get paid for their services. What ends up happening when you go out of network is for that 50% that they might pay, then the provider will still submit to that out of network insurance company. They'll pay maybe that 50%, maybe less, maybe more, usually not more. It's usually on the lower side. But then the patient would be responsible for the rest of that coverage. Now, the provider can waive the fee. They can say, okay, we can put you on a payment plan, or they can just say, pay me X amount and we'll call the rest a wash. Sometimes that's how things go for physicians. The problem is physicians cannot play favoritism. When I say physicians, I also mean providers and um, other healthcare fields. They can't play favoritism. So they can't say, just because you're my friend, I'm going to charge you X amount versus a new patient who I have no relationship with, I'm going to charge you a different amount. So that's why they make this fee schedule, and that's also why you have to as a provider, make determinations about how you can bill appropriately and not overcharge or undercharge or play favoritism is what's a big thing that's trying to be avoided. So that's kind of a little bit of how out-of-network system works. And the reason why insurance companies don't want you to go to out-of-network is because they didn't set up a discounted price for that insurance company based off that they did not set up a discounted price for being in-network with that provider. That's part of the reason why patients prefer going to in-network providers, and insurance companies provide in-network providers, because if they're in-network, the price they pay is discounted. I know that's funny to hear, but if you think about it, if this out-of-network provider is not out-of-network provider renders services, the insurance company doesn't want to pay the higher bill. They'd rather pay it to someone that they know that they already contracted a shorter dollar amount. So that's something to keep in mind. I think a lot of times insurance companies try to make the out-of-network provider seem like the problem, but I don't really know if that's always the case. Just something to think about. And something I found interesting that I was when I was researching this over the past few months. So let's go back to the case of a patient coming to the office. We already talked about accepted, contracted claims. The money comes into the bank account, usually electronically, 3 months, 6 months, maybe 9 months. Who knows how long it takes. Whenever the insurance pays, they pay it. And usually nowadays it's all electronic, so it drops straight to a bank account. Now, there's also 2 other scenarios that can happen. The payer could reject the claim, and usually a rejection of a claim means that there's some sort of demographic problem, or the address wasn't right, the patient information wasn't correct, et cetera, et cetera. Other times, the insurance company can deny the claim. A denied claim allows the physician or the provider or the billing company to turn around and appeal the claim. With that denied letter, usually there's an EOB, or an explanation of benefits. The explanation of benefits explains why it was denied or what the problem the insurance company found was. So usually if you go back and fix that problem and resubmit the claim, the insurance company will come back and pay you the appropriate amount. Now, sometimes the insurance company will pay you less because they don't feel like what you did was adequate or proper. That's kind of another story as well. But just in a nutshell, that's how the billing revenue cycle management works. So I'll kind of walk you through a brief 10, 15 minute presentation about how that insurance company kind of works and how the billing and claims come through. So obviously this is highly complex. I really just scratched the surface of all this. You might be also wondering, you might be hearing about billing and coding specialists and this and that. So let's talk about that briefly. Hospital systems especially, but also big practices or even smaller practices, they hire billing and coding experts that can go back and take a look at all these things and really make sure that you're billing and coding appropriately. First off, make sure that your claims are not getting denied as often, so that money comes into your bank account when it should. But also, they also work in the background to make sure that you can maximize your billing and coding. For example, if you add on a different service that you might already do, for example, if you discuss health and nutrition and you review their sleep tracking on some sort of mobile device or some sort of other external device that they use to track some sort of health measures. That stuff can be added and coded for using CPT codes, and you can appropriately bill for that. So, these billing coding specialists, they kind of work in the background to make sure that you're maximizing your benefits. And they also work with all the insurance companies knowing what their specific things are to required to approve a surgery or a procedure. Because as we talked about last time, all the insurance companies have their own strict regulations and policies. These billing and coding companies, when they're employed by the hospital, usually it's hospital employees. But on the outside, especially in independent practices, these coding companies are usually independent practices, and they try to maximize their own benefits as well. So there's a couple ways to do it. They either do a fee for service, so every claim that you drop, they'll take a percentage of that claim. So in their benefit, they want you to make sure your claims are put out on time. They want to make sure they're accurate. But the only problem is if it comes back and denied and they don't help you out and they resubmit it, you might not get that full money because it's taking so long. Get that full money in time because it's taking so long and they're not working with you to fix it. Other times, some will charge you per claim dropped. So say I put in a claim and it was denied, it comes back into my inbox and I fix everything I need to fix and then resubmit it. Not only did they charge me for that first one that got denied, but they charged me again on the second one. Something to keep in mind if you're looking for a billing and coding company to help you out with your practice. And I'm sure it's the same way if you get rejected claims as well. Others are just flat fee. Others are just a percentage of your total revenue as a practice over the year. So these are just a few different payment models that you can use for in revenue cycle management. I think everyone claims that they have the best. I think the future will probably show us that some sort of artificial intelligence will be the leader in this kind of thing, because if you can have a combination of artificial intelligence scrubbing these claims in the background, but also utilizing some human resources, that kind of model is probably going to work the best. A company, for example, that does a lot of AI is Gentum Health. They do mostly everything about this is automatic AI, but they also have some good scales and graphs to show where your practice revenue management cycle is and can help you get a better grasp of where your practice is. That's pretty much all I have for today's talk. Again, if you like this and you think you're getting benefits, please leave a comment, give me a like, follow me on social media. If you have questions that you'd like to have answered over this kind of medium, please drop drop the questions in the same areas, and happy to help out. I think it's just a fun process to continue to learn, to continue to grow, and get some information out to other people so everyone can learn a little bit. All right, take care.